David Olds. I am the CEO and owner of EasyREI Closings, and just wanted to come and talk to you a little bit about the state of wholesaling as of, early March 2024. So we know that 2023 was a little bit of a volatile year, right? Things were a little bit up and down. And, let's talk about wholesaling and where I think it's going for this year. As the nation's largest virtual transaction coordination company, one thing that we do have as an advantage that we get sort of a bird's eye view at 50,000 foot of transactions that are happening across the country. So we do have, probably a pretty good take on the direction that things are going in. And I'm going to talk about a couple of things in this little video. We're going to talk about some things from our perspective, what we're seeing internally with our clients. We'll talk about, some statistics nationwide. And then kind of at the end, I'll tell you where I think all of it's going. But overall, for us, we went and compared July 1st, 2023, all the way to October 31st. And then we compared that period of time with November 1st to February 29th. And for us, we had massive growth, so I can't compare number to number. We can only look at percentages. And what we did see, which is good, positive news, is the rate of contracts that closed actually went up 3%. So that's good. Over thousands of contracts, 3% increase is very positive. The deals that we do for our clients has shifted just slightly. From July to August, we were 52% wholesale, 34.5% novation, and then the rest was a mixture of sub to, self-purchase, owner finance, kind of the more creative type stuff. But from November to February, we went from 52% wholesale down to 45%, right? So the number of wholesale deals actually decreased, but novations jumped from 34.5 to 37.3. So you saw just a little bit of a shift there. And then there were even more, the remainder of that was the sub to creative, owner finance, that type of stuff. So we are seeing that investors are pivoting just a little bit where they need to and finding other ways to help their sellers get the deals closed. So that is all positive. For us, and we don't normally release this, but I will for RJ, our number one state from July to October was Texas with 14.5% of all files. And then it went North Carolina at 7.6, Georgia 6.1, Ohio 5.4, and then Tennessee and Florida were at 4.3% of all of our files. And then from November to February, Texas actually got busier. It jumped up to 16.4. Georgia jumped up into second place at 8.7. Then Florida was 7, North Carolina at 6, and Alabama at 4.5. So you can see the files are primarily concentrated, really Texas to Florida and this kind of the southeast and the southern Midwest part of the country. And then, of course, we just, our files, we had 1,100 files uploaded in the last 4 months. So that's good. So overall, let's talk about nationwide statistics so that we get a good feel for what's going on, because there's just a lot of nonsense that exists out in internet world and on the Facebook. So housing prices nationwide were up 4.4%, which is a good thing. And that's primarily driven by demand right now. There is no wave of foreclosures coming. Anybody who tells you there's a lot of foreclosures coming is full of shit and doesn't know what they're talking about. We're not going to have a massive bank foreclosure thing coming. At least there's nothing that indicates they will right now. There's not going to be a lot of short sales coming. We are at historic, the bottom of the barrel rates of default right now. So that is not going to happen. Also, housing prices are not going to go down. Again, no indication that they're going to go down, because right now we have very, very, very tight inventory. And primarily the reason for that is that interest rates have been a little high. So, there's been people are less likely to move out of the property they're in to just, trade houses. However, that's not terrible news for us as investors, because life still happens for people, right? There's death, divorce, taxes, job transfers, all of those things, right? People are still buying and selling houses. There has been a moderate increase in price. 4.4% is pretty good year over year. I think, everything for us probably hinges on interest rates. Once interest rates start to drop a little bit, all these people that are on the sidelines waiting to jump into the market will cause, that pricing to jump even more, because, even though there are a lot of people sitting on the sidelines, people are still born every year. 30 years ago, people were still being born, right? So there are always new people entering the market that need to buy properties, right? So that leads into kind of where I want to finish here, is is one, very bullish on real estate investing. There's always an opportunity. Yes, there may be some volatility in the market, but as real estate investors, the one thing that we are able to do is pivot very quickly on a dime and change our strategy as the market changes. From somebody who's been through, I guess, 3 market corrections now, some days you're buying and holding, some days you're wholesaling, some days you're rehabbing. So, if your operation is light-footed enough, you should be able to pivot and always be making money in any market. So if you're a wholesaler, again, the market has tightened up some. If you're just doing the exact same thing you did last year or that you did 2 years ago, you're probably going to do less sales. All right. You just are, because it's a little harder to find inventory. And, because interest rates have tightened up a little bit, that does affect your cash buyers, even the cash buyers, right? It does affect them. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But, in order to grow this year, you're going to need to pivot just a little bit. So maybe you need to add innovations or some buy and hold stuff, or, you may need to pivot your strategies just a bit. Or, if you want to stay strictly wholesaling, you need to increase your marketing and, make sure that you are being efficient and really working all of the leads that you've got, right? So, being very, responding very quickly to your leads as they come down. Make sure your follow-up game is strong. Make sure that you're making very good offers. So increase, have more efficient marketing. And, there's 3 basic categories of investors, right, that we sell to, right? They're landlords, rehabbers, and then, of course, builders. So as a wholesaler, if you're selling to landlords, you should be in great shape. Why? Because your landlords right now have huge demand, incredible demand for properties, because people are sitting on the sidelines and not buying. So as those people are renting, it's just absorbing more and more of the inventory in the marketplace. So, if you're a landlord, buy now. If you're a wholesaler, buy properties that landlords are looking for that they can cash flow in. Rehabbers and builders, they are affected a little more than landlords with the interest rates, because you have to imagine, even as a wholesaler, once we dispo this property and it goes through closing, that property still lives on, right? Somebody still has to do something with it. So your rehabbers and your builders are looking at who is going to be, who's going to be my buyer, right? And how does interest rate affect, the sales? Well, because of interest rates, it makes payments go up just a little bit. However, the flip side of that coin is, builders have been a little bit slow the last couple of years. Again, new people entering the marketplace, less inventory out there. So there is still huge demand. So again, if you can find builders, the lots that they're looking for, the infill lots, I've seen people talk about getting as much as 20 cents on the dollar for what the end build would be worth. So if the property is going to sell for $300,000, those lots are going from $25,000 to $30,000. So as long as you understand in your market where those lots are selling at, it's like an open book test to go out and find them and put them under contract. Same thing, rehabbers. Right now, if I was rehabbing, I would be buying properties, because we are anticipating 3 to 4 interest rate drops this year. So I would be out there starting my rehabs now, so that by the time we're done, those interest rates are hitting. So all of that is good news for wholesalers. There is a lot of opportunity out there, but if you're going to wholesale, make sure that you're comping very specifically to the last maybe 3-6 months. You want to know exactly where the market's at. Make sure your radius when you're pulling these comps is very close: quarter mile, half mile, 3/4 of a mile if you're really frisky. Keep the comps on the same side of the highway, that type of stuff. Make sure you're looking at apples and apples. Don't be out there looking at comps from 5 miles away, trying to be optimistic just to give the seller what they're looking for. I would stay out of the rural areas and stick to major metros and those tertiary, secondary markets that surround them. Right now, there is a 3.2% month supply of houses on the market. And a balanced market is anywhere from 5 to 6 months. So what we're saying is there's half the inventory out there that's needed. So good time to be a wholesaler. Good time to be out there sourcing deals for buyers. They have to be deals. This isn't 2020 anymore, where you could just throw any piece of shit out on the market and it was going to sell. Let's go back to being, people who provide value in this market. Make sure that we are helping sellers. We're not canceling contracts, and we're putting properties under contract at the right price and bring those to your buyers. And that is going to be the way to survive this year.